welcome to episode 50 of Life in General. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
And as always, you can email us any questions or comments to contact@lifeingeneralpodcast.com. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. Ian, what's our Twitter handle? It starts out with an @.
@LIG pod. Am I right?
It is. You're correct. It's at LIG pod. Yes. You
See,
are.
I know.
You're starting to learn that. And I don't know if anyone can see us on Facebook, but we're live on Facebook.
We are live.
Too.
Live.
We weren't going to be live. We decided because this is our 50th episode, what the hell? We might as well just throw it out there.
Right. This way you can see us and turn us off that way instead of just having to listen to us and turn us off.
Is that what it is, Ian?
I don't know.
Are you able to pull the video up?
I'm working on it right now.
Trying to see if we're actually on there.
Yeah, let's make sure. That would be something.
Doom.
I've got a stupid phone.
Come on.
Don't.
What?
Don't blame me.
It's not your fault?
It's not my fault. I didn't mean to do it.
Why am I not seeing it, though?
I don't know. Maybe we're not live. If we're not live, then you're not seeing this, and it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter then, does it?
No. Computer says no.
Get up there and look at the screen and see if it says live on there. See, I can't see it from here. My eyesight's too bad.
Yeah, my eyesight's real bad.
And Ian's really old, so...
I'm really old after you just said that your eyesight is bad.
Does it say it's doing anything, Ian?
It is. It says go live. You haven't clicked it yet.
I'll wait till you sit down then, Ian.
Aw, that's nice of you. I'm down.
There it is.
Maybe we're live now.
Now it's working. Is it working now? I think so.
Let's find out.
Let's see if we're live. So this is episode 50 of Life in General. What was I going to say? Oh, you can check us out on iTunes and Google Play Music and Podbean and all that jazz. Check us out on our website, which is lifeingeneralpodcast.com, because I figured Ian would get that. That's an easy one to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Hey, look at that. It's working, I think. Better turn the volume down, though.
Yeah, here.
This is great for anyone that's
I know.
watching this.
If the audio of this would be awesome, and the video is probably even better because you're sitting the two of us just sitting here just messing around with our shit.
That's great.
It looks like it's live. I'm playing it now.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah, it looks like we're live.
Yeah, it's working. If anyone out there does end up listening to this or watching this, I know we didn't post that we were going to do this live, so I don't know how many people will get online, but let us know if you can hear the show or whatever.
Yeah. Let us know if you like the show.
So
let us know if you don't like the show.
Can I talk now, Ian, or are you just going to keep talking over me?
No, I think you're all right. Go ahead. I'll let you this time.
Okay. So we've had some requests to talk more about music, and music is something I really enjoy.
Most people do.
Some people.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like some music of some kind.
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking earlier this week about, with this being our 50th episode, what we could kind of do. Maybe it's a little different than what we've done before. And we've done a lot of like top 10 lists and top 10 albums of the 70s and things like that, and music related. But we haven't really covered, years specifically.
Or, yeah, anything like specific, I don't know, historical moments.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so I was kind of thinking what moments or what years throughout the past, 50, 60, 70 years, what are the most influential years in music? And
modern, I guess you could have to point out modern music. And
yeah.
I think, my limitations to the more rock or even slight pop genre,
and I'm sure we're probably both coming from that
angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sorry, I got distracted. My phone shut off for some fucking reason. But
oh, good job. Technology. Yeah. Ian and technology, it's a match made in heaven.
Is it?
Or hell.
Well,
it's probably hell.
It's something. It is something. But anyway, what were we talking about?
So there's just so many years you can really go through. You know?
Yeah.
And I kind of went from, there's some stuff that happened in the 50s, music wise, that kind of brought in the whole rock genre.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of took all that out of the equation, though.
I guess we could just mention. Maybe Elvis on Ed Sullivan. That would be a kind of a key moment.
Yeah, but it's just that is a pivotal moment in music history. But is that one moment doesn't make the entire year a pivotal year, basically?
Oh no. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I don't know, what are some years that you would think of that? Since I have notes, see all these notes. Notes, and Ian has nothing.
I actually have hundreds of pages of notes in my email, but I can't do both on my phone.
Yeah, because Ian forgot to print them out.
Yes, so I could very easily close out of Facebook, which I just did. So we lost a viewer, by the way. And go to my notes. And the first year, now, some of the notes I started taking, I wanted to kind of get a grasp of what was coming out in specific years. And for me, 67.
Okay.
For me personally, and it has to do with one specific album, and that's Sgt. Pepper.
Uh-huh.
Because as far as I can tell, when you in terms of rock music, it's kind of the first kind of concept album.
Uh-huh.
And it's it could be argued, but it's kind of like the first moment where rock, the potential for rock to be something more than just Elvis or you know,
there was something. It was definitely something different.
It was different, and so I started there with just album releases, there's 15 pages.
Well, yeah,
of lists, just because I just wanted to start out. I just wanted to narrow it down. But that was the year the Doors' first album came out too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's also another kind of an expansion on what rock was up to that point.
Yeah.
You know, the Beatles were doing interesting stuff, but once they hit Sgt. Pepper, things kind of changed. And then the Doors came out. Even the Moody Blues were doing, you know, they were kind of coming into their own at that point too.
Yeah.
That was a year before Days of Future Past, but still, they were still doing their thing.
Yeah, you definitely started getting into the more psychedelic kind of rock
and experimental
in the late 60s.
Long form songs, interweaving symphonic influences and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
I can definitely see that.
67 was kind of, for me, that's where I was kind of starting at.
Mine was 69.
Okay.
You know, because he had obviously Woodstock,
right.
Isle of Wight Festival,
Isle of Wight,
huh?
White.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the return of Bob Dylan.
Hendrix played there. The Who played there. Moody Blues played there. Jethro Tull played there.
Yeah,
it was the British Woodstock, essentially. Isle of Wight.
Yeah, you know, but if you look at the beginning of the year, you got Led Zeppelin's debut album. Mm-hmm. The Beatles performed for the last time in public in '69,
and that was the year that Abbey Road came out. Correct?
In '69, yeah. Abbey Road came out in '69. Yeah. Well, yeah, because if you look at music that came out, Abbey Road,
'69. I have the list. It's a big year.
Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 2, Tommy by the Who, the Stooges. CCR released Bayou Country and Green River in '69. Ball by Iron Butterfly, My Way by Frank Sinatra, if you want to get off of rock a little bit.
Right.
Velvet Underground, With a Little Help from My Friends from Joe Cocker, Live at San Quentin by Johnny Cash, Soft Parade by the Doors, Stand Up, which is, you know,
Jethro Tull.
I got to throw a Jethro Tull album out there for Ian.
Hey, that was a good album, and that was a big album.
It was. And
rumor has it that for a very long time, when Eddie Vedder would tour, he kept a vinyl copy of that with him. He took it everywhere with him, I'm sure.
But Space Oddity came out in '69.
Oh, yeah.
The Jackson 5's first album came out.
Yep.
And Let It Bleed by Rolling Stones. I mean, so there's a lot of like really big albums.
I think the Stones actually released 2 albums that year.
They did, but Let It Bleed was the bigger album.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Animals disbanded, so that was something else big that happened in '69.
Yeah.
Obviously, Johnny Cash's iconic performance of A Boy Named Sue at San Quentin. John Lennon and Yoko Ono got married in '69.
Oh.
The first bed-in happened in '69 also. Let's see.
Oh, it was also the Manson summer. And that,
it was,
which
actually,
is
which is something I don't have in my notes.
It was, there's a lot of musical connections. I don't know if anyone knows this, but the reason that house was chosen was because Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys lived there, and he screwed Manson over a little bit. Manson thought Dennis Wilson was going to help him become a famous musician, and he didn't. So Manson took offense to that, and that's why that house was chosen.
Which house? The
house where Sharon Tate was.
Oh, really?
Because he didn't know that Dennis Wilson wasn't living there anymore.
Gotcha. So, I think I did remember that.
And actually, there had been another tenant in there before Sharon Tate took over, or Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate took over the house, and that was Candace Bergen of Murphy Brown fame.
Oh, wow.
She moved out just a couple months before the murders.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, that happened in '69. Chicago's debut album came out in '69. Obviously, like I said, The Who releasing Tommy. That was kind of something really different, even up to that time.
Well, I mean, I think that's the first rock opera.
Rock opera, yeah.
Now, what would you say the difference is between a concept album and a rock opera?
There's not much of a difference.
I wouldn't think so.
It's kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think a rock opera is a little more detailed, and the songs, I think, intermingle a little bit better.
Right. Well, and obviously this isn't the case on the original recording of Tommy, but on the cast recording, an opera would have multiple players, multiple characters. So.
Mick Taylor joined the Rolling Stones in '69. Noel Redding left the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I did have the Charles Manson thing in here.
Did you?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, Woodstock in August.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. I have every album listed that came out that year.
So '69 was also what show was this? It was during a So it was in '69 was Alice Cooper's concert where he threw the chicken out in the audience.
Yeah,
and they
the news the next day was that he murdered the chicken on stage and drank its blood and ate its head.
But the fans in the crowd tore the chicken apart and threw it.
That was in Toronto.
That's what I was trying to look at.
Yeah, it was in Toronto. Yeah, because and Alice Cooper's the very first Alice Cooper album came out that year too. Prettiest for You. It was recorded and released on Frank Zappa's label.
Yeah.
His own personal label, and if you're an Alice Cooper fan, you probably have listened to it. But those first two albums on Zappa's label are, at least the second one especially, but they're really interesting music. They're very different from anything that Alice Cooper did after that.
I thought they're really good albums.
Yeah, they're just very different. Easy Action, which is the second, was my favorite of almost all of them, but. They couldn't catch a break in Los Angeles. They were playing, they were getting booed, people were walking out on them, and so they were like, well, fuck it, we'll go around the country and see what's going on. They went to Detroit, and our area, the Toronto, Canada's real close to.
Yeah,
we all got it. We got what he was trying to do, I guess, because Alice Cooper blew up at that point.
The interesting thing about the Toronto Rock and Roll Fest revival, which is what that concert, that was actually that was the end of the Beatles. Basically, that was John Lennon's first public rock performance without one of the members of the Beatles.
That's where Alice Cooper met him.
Since he met Paul McCartney in '57, and it was after that concert on his way back to the UK that John Lennon decided he was going to leave the Beatles.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, that was. I would have loved to have seen that show. That was Iggy and the Stooges played there. Yep. MC5, Alice Cooper, Lennon. I think the Doors played there too, didn't they?
I don't think they did.
Still, I mean, that would have been an interesting show to see for sure.
And also, Altamont happened at the end of. I think it was the end of '69. That was the free concert in California where the Rolling Stones hired Hell's Angels to be the bodyguards.
Yeah.
Stabbed the guy to death in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest hit singles is 69. Get Back by the Beatles, which I don't even know that song. I mean, it had to have been off Abbey Road.
I'd have to
Honky Tonk Woman by the Stones. Sugar Sugar by the Archies. And Suspicious Minds by Elvis.
One of the few Elvis songs I actually don't mind.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
I've got a big, long list of singles and stuff that were released also. I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Yeah, I didn't go that far. I just wanted to see what albums came out that year. A lot of first, like you said, Zeppelin's first album.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that was Fleetwood Mac's first year, too.
It was, actually.
Was
yes.
it?
Yep, 69 was.
Yeah, so that Then Play On was their first album, which I didn't know. But that was the Peter Green years. That's long before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined the group.
Yeah, the lineup you would recognize.
No today.
69 was also a big year for births. Marilyn Manson was born in 69, so was Dave Grohl. Bobby Brown was born in 69. Master P. Buckethead, do you know who Buckethead is?
I do know who Buckethead is.
The guitar player?
Yes. Does Buckethead know who Buckethead is? Because it's a really bad name.
So. Brian Carroll is his real name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Buckethead's better.
But Danny Wood from New Kids on the Block was born in 69. So I guess there's one downside.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, do you have any viewers?
Not yet.
Okay.
Martika was born in 69.
I don't know who that is.
She was a singer. Had some hits in the 80s, I think.
Oh, okay.
Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes. One of the guys from... Oh, yeah, from Black Crowes. Brian McKnight was born that year, so was Ice Cube. Donnie Wahlberg, Everlast. Clay Walker, who's a country singer. Dweezil, Zappa.
Oh, yeah.
CeCe Peniston. Mark Anthony, Gwen Stefani, PJ Harvey, Snow.
Gwen Stefani was born in 69?
Yeah, Gwen Stefani was born
I didn't realize
69.
she was that old. She looks good for her age.
And you know who Snow is, don't you? The rapper,
no.
Informer. No, we've talked about it on the show before, but
no.
when I think when Ramon was on the show, we talked about it. But Jay-Z was born that year, and so was Jacob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Brian Jones and Judy Garland were the only notable deaths that happened in 69.
Interesting.
Yeah, Bad Moon. Some of the top singles: Bad Moon Rising, Boy Named Sue, Cloud 9 by the Temptations, Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone. Which I think their first album came out in 69. I believe. Give Peace a Chance. Heard It Through the Grapevine. I'm Gonna Make You Love Me.
Is that like top 100 for the year?
Yeah, In the Ghetto. Living in the Past.
That's why I was asking.
Another Jethro Tull reference.
I want to say that would hit number 17. I think that was where it topped out.
Was it really?
I think so. 7 or 17. It was one of those.
And one of my favorites, My Way by Frank Sinatra. One by Three Dog Night. I mean, just a shitload of great songs that came out the year.
Yeah.
Son of a Preacher Man by Dusty Springfield. Space Oddity, which I mentioned before. Sweet Caroline, Sweet Dreams. Jethro Tull reference.
Really? I didn't realize that charted.
This Magic Moment, Touch Me by The Doors, Whole Lot of Love by Zeppelin. So 69
was a big year.
Big year.
No question there. So if you want to go to the next year that I think would have been big, maybe 71.
And you know what? That was the year. That was actually so.
Because in that I can't. I know there's some notable deaths and stuff there, but 71 for me personally for my top line bands that I really like. Every one of them released an album that year that was decent. Every one of them.
Yeah, I mean big ones. I mean Sticky Fingers by Stones, which I'm not a big Stones fan. Sticky Fingers was a really good album.
Yeah,
it also had a really cool album cover.
That's the one with the zipper. Yeah,
the zipper, the working zipper on the front on the cover. Who's Next by The Who, 4 by Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
Aqualung, which is a great album. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. L.A. Woman by The Doors. Imagine by Lennon. Santana 3 came out in 71. Pearl by Janis Joplin. Teasing the Firecat by Cat Stevens.
Antifa the Tillerman.
Yeah, Killer and Love It to Death.
Yep.
Both came out that year, which are both fantastic albums.
Yep.
Man in Black by Johnny Cash. American Pie came out in 71, and so did the soundtrack for Shaft.
Yep.
By Isaac Hayes.
Master of Reality by Sabbath.
Yep.
I can't remember. Was Paranoid late 70 or early 71?
That was 70.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 70.
I know it was late 70 though.
Yeah,
so.
it was, but it was 70. Yeah, in 71. Now, real quick, I have, and I didn't really mean to do this, but I picked 1 year from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I didn't do it intentionally, but
yeah, I can't think of any. I mean, I'm sure there's notable shit, but what's considered notable post, say, 2002?
I'll get there.
It's notable not because of quality or experimentation. It's notable because of stupid shit. I'll have to wait and see what you have to say.
I'll get to it, but I think 2003 is the most influential year in music in the past 70 years.
70 years?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll get there. All right.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We might have to argue a little bit. What's a show without an argument?
Yeah, why not? But yeah, in 71's a great year. 71, Davy Jones leaves the Monkees.
Okay.
Which isn't, I guess.
It's not big, but it was big at the time, yeah.
John Deacon joins the Queen, so completed their lineup.
I got my tickets for Bohemian Rhapsody on Sunday.
Oh, you're going to see it on Sunday?
Yeah.
Mandy and I were supposed to go see it tonight, but I forgot about it, and I was like, "Oh shit! I guess we're recording the show, so we can't go see it tonight."
Right.
So Bill Graham closes Fillmore East in New York, which was an iconic music venue.
Music venue, yeah.
It's
been reopened several times.
Yeah, Fillmore West in California, I think, also closed in 71.
Okay.
Jim Morrison dies in July. Oh yeah, it says right here, Fillmore West is closed in San Francisco. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour premieres on CBS. Which,
it's iconic in the sense that Cher has maintained a very strong positive career.
No, I would
since
say
then too.
I would say it was something new, something that really hadn't been done before, at least that I know of. You know, musicians having.
Well, as far as like having that kind of younger cast and stuff, Laugh-In was doing it before that, having a young cast and being kind of variety. Or
I'm talking about two major mainstream musicians having their own comedy
singers,
TV show. Well, whatever they are, it's all the same. You know, so it was. So their comedy hour. Who's next comes out? I already said that.
Right.
The other really big thing, the Jackson 5, their Saturday morning cartoon started.
Oh, okay.
In 71.
Yeah. I wasn't born yet, but I remember watching reruns.
I watched reruns of it also. Yeah. Black Sabbath performed the first set of their Whiskey Go-Go performance in all white tuxedos.
Huh.
That was on October 5th.
1971?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dwayne Allman dies in a motorcycle accident in 71.
Forgot about that one.
Cher got her first solo #1 hit. Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. Can you think of anything else from that year?
71?
Yeah.
Not really. Like I said, it's notable for a lot of the big releases.
Well, there was
releases that really launched bands that are still around. A lot of them are still around today. So.
Yeah, there was one I didn't really know about until I started reading up on music from that year. So there was a casino in Switzerland that Frank Zappa and Mothers of Invention were performing at. A fan during the show.
Is this Smoke on the Water?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know this?
Well, I didn't know it was 71.
Oh.
So if anyone out there listening doesn't know the story, so a fan in the crowd shoots off a flare gun, catches the casino on fire, and Deep Purple just happens to be staying in a hotel across the river or across the lake from the casino, and they watched the whole thing from the hotel window, and they wrote "Smoke on the Water."
Yep, with Ritchie Blackmore's very now famous guitar riff at the beginning.
Brad Whitford joins Aerosmith in 71. Kind of completed their lineup.
Yeah.
Rick Springfield leaves Zoot for a solo career, which I didn't even know he was in Zoot. I didn't know who the hell.
I don't even know who Zoot is. Yeah. Never heard of Zoot.
Derek and the Dominoes and the Monkees both broke up. That was the both big that year.
Isn't that the year Layla was released? The song Layla?
No. What am I thinking? That was like 73.
No, because it was with Derek and the Dominoes.
Was it?
I believe so. Let me look it up while you keep going. I'll look.
So the biggest singles that year were My Sweet Lord by George Harrison, which I didn't even know he released an album that year.
George Harrison?
Yeah.
What was the name of the album?
All
Things Must Pass.
Is it that came out?
Yeah, that was his first solo album.
Obviously, Imagine by John Lennon, Maggie May by Rod Stewart, Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones,
Ram by Paul McCartney. I think came out that year too.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Sure.
Other big songs: Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, American Pie, which I already mentioned, Black Dog, Black Magic Woman, which is a great Santana song, probably his best song ever. Country Road by James Taylor, Family Affair by Sly and Family Stone.
Country Road by James Taylor is the only James Taylor song I can tolerate too. I can't fucking stand that guy.
He's got some alright music. Have You Ever Seen the Rain? By CCR. I'm 18, Alice Cooper. Iron Man by Black Sabbath, which was popular that year. The album was released the year before, though.
Yeah, but it was late. It was late in 1970, yeah.
So that's why it kind of threw me off there for a second. Joy to the World by Three Dog Night. LA Woman, Locomotive Breath, Love Her Madly, Maggie May.
Layla was released in 71, and it was on the only Derek and the Dominoes studio album. And it's called Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Although here, it says it was released in 70. Oh, it was released as a single in 70.
Gotcha.
The album was released in 71. The single was in 71. The album was released in
Which
November
is probably why
70.
it's not on my list here, then.
Right.
Peace Train by Cat Stevens came out in 71.
Yep.
Proud Mary, Ike and Tina Turner's version of it.
Which one do you like better? Do you like their version or CCR's version?
I like both of them. I like CCR's better.
Both versions are good, but which one do you like better?
I like CCR's version.
Me too.
Better.
It's almost more melancholy because it's slower tonally, whereas Ike and Tina's is more bombastic and energetic.
But Rock and Roll by Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, Take Me Home, Country Roads by John Denver, theme from Shaft, which I already mentioned. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Wild Horses.
Oh, I love that song.
The Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Because Cat Stevens also has. It's Wild World.
Wild World, yeah.
Which actually also came out that year.
Yep.
I Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who came out that year also. Hey, Bedknobs and Broomsticks came out in 71.
I love that movie.
So do I. So did Fiddler on the Roof, which I've never actually seen it. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory came out in 71.
Another one of my most favorite movies of all time.
Mary J. Blige was born. Kid Rock was born in 71. So was Little John.
Kevin Smith was born in 71.
Has nothing to do with music.
He directed a Soul Asylum video or two. I think he directed some other music video.
Sarah Evans, Daniel Powter was born. Erykah Badu, Max Martin, he's a famous producer. NSYNC, Britney Spears, and all them. Timbaland was born in 71. Method Man, Selena, who was killed in 95. Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
I don't know who that is.
You're really from TLC? Oh my gosh.
Do I look like someone who listens to TLC?
Whatever. Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
Tupac. Missy Elliott. The lead singer of Live.
Ed Kowalk something.
Yeah. Alison Krauss. Fred Durst. Lars Fredrickson from Rancid. Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC.
A lot of people were born that year.
Snoop Dogg. There's a lot of them. Ricky Martin. And then, we mentioned the deaths. Jim Morrison, Louis Armstrong, Dwayne Allman were the big deaths that year. Yeah,
it was a big year. So what do we covered so far? Like as far as like key years, so 69, 71.
Well, you talked about 67.
Oh, I mentioned for me just as a starting point. Yeah. So what year would you go next then?
I don't know. Why don't you throw something out there? Because I'm going to skip ahead all the way to the 80s, if you don't mind, next.
Well, I mean, I'd have to look at this. See, this is where my notes would have been more handy. I don't have these.
Big shock, Ian. Big shock.
Well, I mean, that's just early 70s. Once you get into the late 70s, you've got the onslaught of disco. You've got punk. I didn't know that the Sex Pistols were a corporately created band. Did you?
Really?
Yeah, they were put together. I mean,
they
were
pulled
from the scene and put together, but they were still corporate. I did not know that, but yeah, I mean, the Ramones started in 71 or 2,
early 70s,
72. I've got in one of my lists. One of the years list, it was very early, 71 or 72, the first Ramones album came out. So, I mean, really, you could almost single that as the birth of mainstream punk. Ooh. I guess. I mean, the Stooges, Iggy and the Stooges, and MC5, I guess they kind of too, and even Alice Cooper at a smaller level. But the Ramones were like what we consider now definitive kind of early punk.
Yeah.
But you still had that punk scene that really exploded in the mid to late 70s. Disco.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I know. I hate disco.
I mean, there was some all right disco.
No, there's nothing good about disco, but we have to at least acknowledge its existence. That was all late 70s.
The Bee Gees had some good music.
I've heard some of their early their 60s hits from the 60s, and I'd take that over their disco shit any day. But
I mean, yeah, for the most part, disco kind of sucked, but it is what it is.
It is, yeah. Like I said, it's worth acknowledging because it did exist. So I mean, I guess there's years later in the 70s. I mean, the 70s were really like the at least the first big decade of real pop rock, where it was mainstream that it was showing up in television shows. And, whereas the 60s it was still considered like devil music.
Mm-hmm.
In the 70s, the whole decade kind of led to this. You had the birth and kind of death of progressive rock in the, from say 71 to 76 maybe. So there's a lot of shit going on in the 70s. It's hard to narrow down one or two specific years beyond say 71, 72 because that's when everything really just started and
it was the late 69 through 70 and into 71, it was like the death of the hippie generation.
Oh, yes. By 71, the hippie movement was gone.
It was absolutely gone.
And this was this new era of
actually, a lot of people,
hard rock.
A lot of people consider Altamont the end of the hippie generation.
When was that?
That was end of 69. That was when the Rolling Stones.
Right. Yeah. The 71, you've got, bands that, they still had that look. They had the long hair and the beads and shit, but they were not preaching peace and love. They were hard rocking.
Yeah, they were.
Everybody was the volume went up on everything. So, what are you playing with your phone for? What is this? Work?
Something like that.
Yeah. For all you people out there, Nick's playing on his phone.
Yeah, this is me.
He's playing on his phone. Ignoring the audience like we've been doing since we started. Do we have an audience?
Yeah, we've had a couple people off and on there.
Oh, they're like, what's going on? Oh, never mind. Goodbye. We don't want to see that shit.
That's all right, whatever.
Who the hell are those ugly guys?
Yeah, and you could talk, you could probably mention like some of the hair bands that were like the birth of like a really hard rock. Mm-hmm. Like death metal through the early 80s, early to mid 80s.
When you're talking metal, you're really you're talking Sabbath at the height of that. Their music was very heavy.
Yeah.
Even by the standards of the 80s, there was still Sabbath. There was still kind of, obviously the music got faster. I wouldn't say it got louder though.
No.
The Sabbath was kind of the head of that. But you did have bands like Deep Purple, their mid-70s stuff, especially after Blackmore left. And then early Rainbow. There was some metal was beginning.
Yeah.
It was in the early stages.
But I think for the 1 year I picked for the 80s, I think is the year that a lot of things kind of changed musically.
Okay.
And that was 87.
As far as rock goes,
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you could argue that it was changed several times before that. But
even outside of that, you've got Aretha Franklin becomes the first woman inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
You've got Elton John has surgery early part of '87. He had throat surgery that changed his voice, and his voice ever since then has been a lot deeper.
Right.
The Beastie Boys get censored on American Bandstand. So I mean, there's a lot of things. Sonny Bono announces his candidacy for mayor of Palm Springs, California. So
and the big one,
and that was all the beginning part of the year,
right? And the big one for me for that year would have been the release of Appetite for Destruction, because I think that was the death knell for the hair bands, the glam rock.
Yeah, and there was, well, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Yes,
at least glam rock, maybe not hair bands, but glam rock for sure.
You had Appetite for Destruction come out, obviously. Joshua Tree by U2 comes out that year. Hysteria by Def Leppard. Michael Jackson releases Bad. REM releases Document. George Michael has... I wasn't a big George Michael fan, but Faith came out in '87, which was a big album for that year.
Absolutely.
Aerosmith has Permanent Vacation. Pink Floyd, A Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is an alright album for
a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah. Kick by NXS. White Snake has their self-titled album come out. Motley Crue with Girls, Girls, Girls. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Rock the House.
Nightmare on My Street. Loved it.
Whitney Houston releases Whitney, which is probably, I think, one of her biggest albums.
Well, no, Bodyguard was probably her biggest album.
Oh, well, yeah.
But,
and another great one that I forgot about till I was going over this list, Crushing by Fat Boys. I love that fucking album.
Oh, really?
It was at the, God, what was the song? The big song they had off that. Was that the one with, shit, you're going to have to give me a second here.
Okay. Little trivia. The Fat Boys did a song for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, and they did a video with Freddy Krueger.
It was on that album.
Okay. The video wasn't until 88, though.
No, but the song was.
Right. Did you ever see the movie Disorderlies that starred the Fat Boys?
No,
I kind of got the impression they were trying to create like this, turn the Fat Boys into like a new Three Stooges kind of a thing. I think it was called Disorderlies. Yeah, they were orderlies in like a mental hospital or something. Weird. It was funny for what it was. It was funny.
And I was wrong. That song wasn't on that album, but Wipeout was.
Wipeout. Oh yeah, absolutely. Wasn't that the year that Run DMC and Aerosmith did Walk Like That?
No,
Walk That Way, or Walk
no,
This Way?
I think it was 86.
Was that 86? Okay.
It was before. Yeah, it was before Permanent Vacation came out.
Okay, because I guess that was kind of the rebirth of Aerosmith.
And you have to mention the greatest rock album of that year.
87. Okay.
87. The greatest rock album. Crest of a Knave. Because it fucking beat Metallica.
But it didn't win until 89.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, Jethro Tull's Crest of a Knave came out. Some call it a return to form for the band. It's a good album.
It was
by no standard in the universe, and this is my favorite band of all time. By no standard in the universe, the known universe where rational physics works, is Crest of a Knave a hard rock / heavy metal album.
And
even if it's
good enough to beat And Justice for All in that category.
Well, arguably even as good enough when we're talking categories, in that category it also beat I think AC/DC's Razor's Edge. And Iggy won.
Okay.
Iggy Pop was on the. It was Iggy Pop, Jethro Tull.
Razor's Edge was a good album for
for
AC/DC at least.
Right. Iggy Pop, Jethro Tull, Metallica, and AC/DC were the four categories or four nominees for that category. The first 89 was the first year they had a hard rock heavy metal category.
They shit the bed up with it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people blame Jethro Tull for that. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with them. They didn't even show up because they were like, there's no way we're going to win. And I mean, we're proud of this album and it was a good album, but does it belong here? No, it doesn't belong in this category.
But yeah, MTV Europe was launched in 87.
Mm-hmm. I guess real quick, we should have mentioned, I did have this jotted down by hand, 81.
On his notes that he doesn't have.
No, well, I didn't. I could have brought my handwritten notes, but it was just like a little sheet of paper with scribble. 1981's MTV. I mean, that was big.
It was.
I mean, it changed the dynamics of all music for that point
10
on.
years, 15 years.
Well, I think we're still feeling the effects of it. I mean, people are still making videos. Look at Donald Glover.
Yeah.
People are still doing it. It's just because MTV doesn't do it anymore doesn't mean that artists aren't still doing it. It changed. It was a game changer.
So some other stuff from '87. Chuck Berry gets his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Motley Crue. So they released a single, "You're All I Need," and MTV refused to play the music video because of the level of violence. I don't know this video though.
I've never seen it.
I've heard the song. I didn't know they had a video.
We'll probably
for it,
find
though.
it on YouTube.
Probably, but apparently, that's probably why we've never seen it because MTV refused to play it.
Right.
Which is really
But they
interesting.
play Girls, 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 which shows a bunch of strippers.
Yeah, so
I mean, it just goes to show that this. Well, not really, because generally speaking, violence is more acceptable than sex in this country.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of
it's
weird
interesting.
dynamic. Yeah.
So Sonny and Cher reunited for a performance on Late Night with David Letterman. CBS Records is sold to the Sony Corporation in a deal worth about $2 billion.
Really? Even at that time, it was $2 billion.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, because Sony owned Epic Records, and Ozzy was always on CBS Records. And that year, was it that year or the year? Or was it until 91 when he shifted over? But he was shifted over because of that purchase, because CBS was owned by Sony.
So Nikki Sixx, who's the bassist for Motley Crue, that was also the year that he suffered his heroin overdose.
Oh.
Which
is documented in his book, The Heroin Diaries.
Yeah, it was also the basis for the Dr. Feelgood album also. So Roger Waters finally finalized his departure from Pink Floyd. It took him 2 years. It was a 2-year legal battle for him to leave the band.
To make sure that he was able to still perform the music.
The rights,
and
yeah.
The songs that he wrote.
It was just a legal battle over rights.
Let's face it, he wrote a lot of the quintessential Pink Floyd.
They're good music.
It's arguable.
They're better music. How about that?
It's arguable, but you can't deny his contribution to that world.
I think, and like I said before, I'm not a huge Pink Floyd fan,
right.
But from after he left Pink Floyd, you could definitely tell a difference in the music.
Yeah, there's only 2 albums. They only released 2 albums after he left.
You could still see a big difference even prior to what they loved.
And I think that the reason that is because before Roger Waters, Pink Floyd had they were psychedelic, they were different, they were artsy. When he came in, he refined the sound.
Yeah,
and you can't argue with that. He refined it. But it didn't. He refined it in a way that didn't change anything. It's now just cleaner.
Yeah.
So instead of when him leaving, the remaining members saying, "Okay, well he's been kind of the voice of the band. Let's do our thing now." They just tried to copy his thing.
Yeah.
That refinement, that simplicity that he brought to it, and it doesn't work because it's not their voice. It's not their thing. So I think that's why, although people Momentary Lapse of Reason was a huge
that was a good album.
And Division Bell, which was in 93, which was very popular. People love that album.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to it because I owned it. I don't remember liking it that much.
No. And so as far as like big songs from that year, La Bamba by Los Lobos.
And the movie was fantastic. I haven't seen that movie in ages. I need to watch that.
That was a good movie.
I wonder if it's on iTunes.
I don't know. Never Gonna Give You Up was a big song that year.
Rick Astley.
Yeah. I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me by Whitney Houston.
Yep.
Who's That Girl by Madonna. Alone by Heart. Animal by Def Leppard. Angel by Aerosmith. Michael Jackson Had Bad. Ballerina Girl by Lionel Richie.
Oh, yeah.
Big Time by Peter Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Control by Janet Jackson. Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. Everybody Have Fun Tonight by Wang Chung. George Michael Had Faith. Funky Town by Pseudo Echo. I didn't know that's what the band's name was, but I know the song.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that was released in 86, but I guess it got
big, and it's still big. They've done some like club dance remixes for it and stuff.
Yeah, Hazy Shade of Winter. Heat of the Night, Here I Go Again by Whitesnake, Heaven is a Place on Earth, Hysteria, I Get Weak by Belinda Carlisle is another song that was released in 86. But I Just Died in Your Arms by Cutting Crew. One of those quintessential 80s songs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're just mentioning it. I'm just picturing the 80s. I mean, hair and clothing, everything. It's just, I love the 80s though. The 80s were my gig.
Well, we grew up in the 80s.
I know, but they were. I know, but it was my gig.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I Want to Dance with Somebody. I already mentioned that.
Yeah,
one.
you mentioned that one.
I Want Your Sex by George Michael, which was released in 86, but got popular in 87.
Mm-hmm.
I've Had the Time of My Life.
Oh, yeah. Well, wasn't that from, that was from Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing, yep.
And that came out in 87, too, didn't it?
Sure did. I haven't got to that yet.
Oh, okay.
It's the End of the World as We Know It.
Oh, yeah.
In Too Deep by Genesis.
Yeah. Well, that should have been, oh, no, that would have been 86. Was Land of Confusion.
Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, even though it was released in 86.
Yeah. Oh, no, 87 was Bon Jovi's year for sure.
Love Bites. It actually says, so it says on here, Love Bites was released in 87, obviously, because Hysteria came out, but it actually didn't chart until 88.
Right.
Moni Moni by Billy Idol, which is a great cover of it.
Absolutely.
New Sensation by NXS. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship.
Yeah, because that for the movie Mannequin.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was in that.
It was 87 too.
Yeah, it was 87.
Yeah.
Ragdoll, Respect Yourself by Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis.
Did that chart? That actually fucking charted?
Yes, it did.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm just trying to see if there's any other ones. Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Somewhere Out There. Was that from
American Tail?
American Tail.
Yeah. I didn't know that was 87. Jesus Christ.
The only Grateful Dead song I've ever liked.
Touch of Grey.
Touch of Grey.
Yeah. You should give. There's a couple other songs, but yeah, their catalog's not the greatest.
No.
But there's a couple other songs that you should check out that are actually pretty good.
Touch Me by Samantha Fox. I forgot she even existed.
Does she even know she still existed? Didn't she do porn?
Did she?
I think she did.
I don't know.
Maybe not porn, but she definitely did like Playboy and stuff.
Yeah. Wanted Dead or Alive. Welcome to the Jungle, Where the Streets Have No Name. Who's That Girl? With or Without You by U2. That's about it.
Yeah, that was a big year for you too, as well.
Dirty Dancing and La Bamba, of course, just both came out that year. That's about the only.
And I mean, there's a lot of other good movies, but those are movies that were very musical based, based on music and stuff. That was also the year that Dokken released Dream Warriors for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Really?
Yep. Because that video was actually quite popular. It had a pretty heavy rotation on MTV with Mr. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I'm still in. It's Halloween's over, but I'm still in my Halloween.
You're still in the Halloween.
Yeah, I can't let it go.
As far as deaths for that year, Liberace died. Maria Von Trapp from The Sound of Music fame. Fred Astaire died. There wasn't a whole lot of them.
No.
I think that's about it. Anyway, that's about it that's notable. As far as births, Kendrick Lamar was born in 87. So was Hilary Duff, Zac Efron, Frank Ocean.
Is Frank Ocean related to Billy Ocean?
I don't know. Probably not.
It's an interesting last name, though.
It is. That's about all I have for 87. I mean, it was a huge year.
You know, we should point out 77 was kind of big, too, for the death of Elvis.
It was
kind of the big, he was the, I don't agree with this, but people consider him, like, they call him the king of rock, king of rock and roll. And
well, I mean, he was, because he brought rock and roll, I think, out to the masses more than anyone else. No, what he did
was he brought what was traditionally a black cultural sound, and made it palatable for white people.
But before that, though, I mean, rock and roll, you can look at a lot of early rock and roll and see that it's got Irish influences. But what he was doing was distinctly like
Southern black blues.
Well, because that's where he's from.
And that's where he's from, but he made it palatable and popular for white people
to listen
to.
Exactly. You know, but that's why he's considered.
That's why I would say Chuck Berry is a much better example of someone who truly created rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because he was doing it better and, you know, at least culturally owned it more.
The last thing, I'll leave this with 87 as the last thing I've got about that is it was a really big year for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 87 because you had the Coasters made it in, so did Bo Diddley, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, B.B. King, Ricky Nelson, Roy Orbison, Smokey Robinson, Muddy Waters. I mean, it was a big year musically for that, at least.
Very cool. So okay, so you pretty much went 1 year per decade. So what's your 90s year? Because I want to get to this 2003 thing. Cause
the 90s it's got to be 91.
Okay, I can see that.
Is there another year from the 90s you would think it would be?
That was just huge? No, not really. Yeah, 91 would be about it. Because that's Nevermind, correct? That's 10. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I was doing something. Give me one second here. My iPad.
The birth of grunge, I guess. Correct? It is as far as a mainstream genre.
If you look at albums from that year, if my iPad wants to cooperate with me, well, even outside of grunge, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 were huge.
No More Tears by Ozzy.
Yeah, De La Soul Is Dead came out in 91. Gish, which is, that's grunge, alternative, whatever.
Yeah. In retrospect, it's all just rock.
It is. But 10 came out. Metallica's Black Album came out. Gish, Bad Motorfinger by Soundgarden. Nevermind came out. Out of Time from R.E.M. Octung Baby by U2. Dangerous from Michael Jackson. Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out in 91, which is a fantastic album.
Absolutely.
Into the Great Wide Open came out in 91. So did Kerplunk.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good year.
91 was.
Every one of those albums you just mentioned are really good. Hey Stupid by Alice Cooper.
Yeah. I thought I had some more in here, too. Yeah, I'll just kind of run through some of it. Obviously grunge was the birth of grunge, at least on the main stage, was huge in 91. I mean, it had been around for years before that, but it kind of brought it to the forefront. And obviously, and this is kind of, today's the day that Bohemian Rhapsody comes out in theaters.
Yeah, as we're recording it.
91, Freddie Mercury dies.
Right, that's big.
In November. So that was a huge thing.
Well, and that was big not just because it was a famous musician dying, but it was the first, at least that I can remember, the first time it was openly announced that he died of HIV.
It was.
That a celebrity died of HIV.
He admitted it. He came out and his family released a press release the day before he died, admitting that he had
HIV.
Yeah, he had AIDS, which was something that had been talked about for years.
Yeah, but I mean, the AIDS crisis really didn't even start until the early 80s, and even in the 90s, it was still very taboo.
Yeah,
because it was still associated mainly and primarily with homosexuality. In that age, it wasn't.
91, of course.
If you had HIV, you weren't straight. You know, people assumed you were gay, and we know now that wasn't necessarily the case. But that was big. Anthony Perkins died that year of HIV as well.
Oh, did he really?
Yep. And I never saw the movie, but that movie Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey,
which is a fantastic movie.
Is it? I want to see it. The character he played, the person he played, died the same day Anthony Perkins did of HIV as well.
Really, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so in 91, Janet Jackson releases her 7th single from Rhythm Nation 1814.
Is that the one what's the name of that song? Because there was one off that album that was really I really enjoyed it.
Well, her 7th single was "Love Will Never Do Without You."
Oh, okay,
but it made her the first and only artist to have 7 singles from the same album chart in the top 5.
Huh. That was the album that I don't know. I can't remember the name of the song, but the music video and Cab Calloway was in it.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
I love that song.
That was on that album.
Yeah, that was on that album. Yep. Wasn't that the year that no was that the year Dick Tracy came out?
I think
so. That would have been Madonna's Vogue and
no, was that 90?
I don't know.
I think it was 90. That
oh, you know what? You're probably right. Yep, it was definitely pre-91.
It was pre-91 for sure.
You're right.
That was also the year that Whitney Houston sang the Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl, which went on to be a they sold it as it went on to be a single and did massive numbers.
Right.
It was a great rendition of the song too.
Mm-hmm.
In February of 91, I forgot what year I was talking about there for a second. In February of 91, Hollywood's Record Planet Studios closed, and there were some huge albums that had been recorded there. The Eagles' Hotel California was recorded there. Rumors was also recorded there, and Stevie Wonder also did songs in the key of life there. So it was a really popular, historic kind of place that closed in that year. That was also the year that Janet Jackson signed her contract with Virgin Records for $30 million.
Really? Artists don't get that anymore.
No, not at all.
They do not get that.
No.
They're like, here's $5,000. We own your music. Bye-bye. Go away.
But yeah, they made her the highest paid female recording artist ever.
Probably. That's probably still held today, don't you think?
For females, but
yeah.
About a month later, Michael Jackson signed his recording contract with Sony for $1 billion.
Are you kidding me?
$1 billion. Billion with a B.
I wonder if they made that money back, because he really didn't. He had some hits after that, but he didn't. I mean, nowhere near the success that he had in the 80s.
And because he controlled his own catalog and all that stuff, so that it wouldn't have included any of his prior catalogs. So I don't know.
What year did Purple Rain come out?
85 or something
like that? Oh, yeah, you're right. For some reason, I thought we missed it in 87, but yeah, you're right. It was probably 85.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. It was before that.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
So on the same day that he signed his contract, it was also the same day that Eric Clapton's 4-year-old son Connor falls 49 stories out of the New York City apartment window and died, which led
Tears in Heaven.
Right into your. That's a good song for what it is.
It's all right. I'm not a big Eric Clapton fan. I think he's kind of overrated, but. Not to devalue the loss. I
couldn't imagine. Yeah, 49 stories. That's kind of way up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question he would have died no matter what.
And then not a couple of weeks after that, in Macon, Georgia, a judge dismisses a wrongful death lawsuit against Ozzy Osbourne
for the suicide.
Yep,
rightfully so.
I didn't realize that legal battle had gone on that long.
Oh, and that wasn't the only one. There was others. There was at least 2 other times where they never made it to court, but Ozzy was, because the lawyer who sued him tried to take him to court several other times.
Gotcha. But that one had gone on for a couple of years. I think.
It did. For those who don't know, this kid shot himself, committed suicide, and it's whether he was listening to the song at the time or had just had it on his turntable. He had Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz, and on that album is a song called Suicide Solution. And if I'm not mistaken, it's either the last song on side 1 or the first song on side 2. So
sides.
Yeah. Hey, we still listen to vinyl.
That's true. That's true.
So it's hard to say. The argument was that Ozzy had put subliminal messages in his music to make people kill themselves, which makes no sense because if people are killing themselves, they're not buying your fucking albums.
Yeah, you don't have an audience anymore.
So. Yeah, and it was all part of that satanic panic that was going on in the 80s.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it took till 91 to end that.
Yeah,
wow, that's fucking
May
crazy.
7th of 91. But then, and interestingly enough, 3 days later, Truth or Dare was released.
By Madonna?
The documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it really a documentary?
Says a documentary chronicling singer Madonna's 1990 Blonde Ambition tour. So yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
I never saw it.
I only saw it once, but it seemed a little, I don't know.
And then 2 weeks later after that, Guns N' Roses kick off their 26-month world tour for Use Your Illusion.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big
24 months. That's 26 months. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And then the day after that, the Billboard 200 album charts start incorporating electronically monitored sales data provided by Nielsen SoundScan. I don't know how they were doing it before.
Yeah. Well, probably just based on whatever company. Okay, say it's CBS Records. They press 100,000 copies of this album, and then they sell it. And if there's more purchase, then they know that they've sold more than that. If they say, hey, we need more copies of this.
Yeah. 91 was also the first Lollapalooza tour.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that, actually. I didn't go to it, obviously, but I do remember that being talk about that, yeah.
Paul Simon had his concert in the Park, which is a free concert. His broadcast on HBO was huge.
That was for Graceland, wasn't it? Like the Graceland album? Who's still promoting that album?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then August, Pearl Jam releases 10.
Oh, yeah.
We already talked about some of this other stuff. Later that year, I didn't know this, but it must have been, it had been during the Use Your Illusion tour. Izzy Stradlin quit Guns N' Roses. Which I didn't know that.
That wasn't in 91. That was like 92.
It says it was November 7th, 1991.
Oh. Well, it's close enough. That's why, yeah. Probably why I thought it was 92.
It was also the same day that Dweezil and Moon Unit announced that Frank Zappa was basically on his deathbed.
Deathbed, yeah.
Prostate cancer, I believe, is what it was, wasn't it?
And that was back in the day where that was like a death sentence anyway. They didn't have pre-screening for it. I mean, no one knew to go look for it. So by the time people got diagnosed with it, it was pretty much a done deal.
A week after that, Michael Jackson premiered his music video for Black or White, which is shown simultaneously in 27 different countries to an audience of 500 million people.
Does that beat the number for Thriller?
Well, that was shown at one time to 500 million people.
Well, right, okay.
Which is...
Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to do simulcast kind of stuff. But, I mean, they did back then.
Yeah,
in the 80s,
but not
early 80s, but
not like that. So, yeah, then November, Freddie Mercury dies. Dangerous released. The Judds gave their final concert performance.
Okay.
Which, if you're a country fan, I mean, I grew up listening to kind of the older kind of country.
I didn't listen to. My grandfather did, but yeah, they were. The Judds were staples on the country music station here in Detroit.
Yep. Also in 91, Aerosmith signed their record deal with Sony Music, worth around $30 million. So, big contract, big record contracts that year. Also,
if only they'd known that Napster was coming along, they never would have gotten that kind of money.
Also in 91, Tupac Shakur, his first album was released.
Really?
Yep.
It was still underground-ish kind of though, wasn't it? Because I mean that level of hip hop wasn't really.
No, well, I mean, it
was just starting to, because you had like NWA.
Well, you had NWA and Public Enemy and all that, but that was all like late 80s that started.
Right.
So this
but
was
I mean, even
this was like 4 or 5 years into that.
When did Body Count start and all that? I mean, that was
91.
Okay.
So I mean, it was around.
Well,
that same time.
I guess you're right. It would have had to have been before 93.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I was thinking like early to mid 90s, but
because you're getting old, Ian.
Well, yeah. Well, no, old people can remember the past a lot better than they can remember the more recent stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, my memory is of George Bush going after Senior going after Body Count because of the cop killer.
So the interesting thing. So I got a list here of the top 12. As far as the top 12 selling albums of 1991, there is 1, 2, 3. There's 5 of them I've never even fucking heard of.
These are top sellers.
Yeah.
Okay. What are they?
So from 1 to 12, "Dangerous" for Michael Jackson, which obviously
right. Everyone's heard of.
Number 2 is "Nevermind." 3 is "10" by Pearl Jam. 4 is "My Bloody Valentine" by Loveless. Have you ever heard of it?
For some reason, the name of the band sounds familiar.
I've never heard the album though.
I'd have to look at it or listen to maybe a single or something.
Number 5 was Octung Baby.
Yeah.
6 was Blood Sugar Sex Magic. 7 was Metallica.
Yep.
8 was Primal Scream.
Motley Crue? No. That was just a single by Motley Crue. And that was 90...
Screamadelica?
Okay.
I've never heard of the band or the album.
Okay.
Or number 9, which is Spiderland by Slint.
Yep, never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Low End Theory by Tribe Called Quest, which is a fantastic album, was number 10. Blue Lines by Massive Attack. Ever heard of them?
I've heard of Massive Attack.
Okay. Laughing Stock by Talk Talk.
I've heard of Talk Talk.
So yeah, those are the top 12 albums of that year. Beauty and the Beast was released that year. As far as like movies, that was the only thing I kind of ever heard of from that year.
Came out in 91.
Nothing.
Star Trek 6.
Oh, I'm talking musically though.
Oh yeah.
Anything with like music ties. Obviously, there's a shitload of movies that came out in 91.
Yeah.
As far as births, Ed Sheeran was born. Tyler the Creator, Wolfgang von Halen.
Van Halen.
That's what I said.
You said Von Halen.
Oh, Van Halen. Hunter Hayes, which you won't know who that is a country singer.
No.
Buck Ram died in 91. Do you know who that is?
No.
It's from the Platters.
Oh, okay.
Steve Clark died in 91. Leo Fender died, which you should know who that is, right?
Yes, okay. Yes.
Everyone out there should know who Leo Fender is.
Yes.
Miles Davis died in 91 of a stroke.
Huh.
Eric Carr died. He was the
drummer for Kiss.
Yeah. And so does Freddie Mercury, which we mentioned. Let's see. So, I mean, 91 was a huge year. I mean, it was, and it had long-lasting effects for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Till now.
I mean, when you mentioned 91, I was like, was that the year for that? Yeah. Once I realized, yeah, that was a big fucking year. Good year for music too.
It was.
I mean, it was a very good year.
And I kind of had that. I didn't do like a top 5 or whatever, but when I was kind of going through, I was like, well, shit, you know, it's when you're trying to tackle something like this, which is there's 10, 15 different years that you could really put in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I tried to kind of.
you could argue even more than that, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We're talking 50 plus years.
Yeah, and I really tried to narrow it down to 5. And I was kind of going back and forth between 91 and 2003.
All right.
Because
I really have to hear what you have to say about 2003.
And because there's so many big things, big moments that happen in both those years. But yeah, I kind of fell more so on the side of 2003 just because.
Because we're talking like just influence and all this other stuff.
There were some gigantic things that happened in the music industry in 2003.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it.
I don't know. Before I get into it, is there any other years you wanted to talk about? I mean, we're
not really, because when I was doing my notes, I managed to only get up to about 73.
Oh. But off the top of your head, anything else?
Let's see. Not really. Not that I can really like pinpoint. 89 seemed like it was kind of a big year for some artists that I liked. That was my phone.
Oh, look at that.
94 seemed like it was kind of a big year because you had Woodstock 94 was the 25th anniversary of Woodstock. And
the last decent Woodstock that they had
right,
before the
that was,
rapes and everything else happened in the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, Green Day played there. I mean, all the bands that we've mentioned thus far, you know, the '90s bands. I mean, they were playing there, and that was a big year for that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I'll kind of jump into some of the stuff from 2003.
Yeah, let's attack 2003.
I'll just run down the albums first off.
Start there.
Because there's some huge albums. Elephant by White Stripes.
Okay.
Speaker Box, The Love Below by Outkast, which is a fantastic album. Blink-182 released their self-titled album. The Black Album from Jay-Z. Meteora from Linkin Park. Fallen by Evanescence. Get Rich or Die Trying from 50 Cent. Diary of Alicia Keys came out in 2003. Saint Anger, which is, I mean, it's a good album.
It's different. I will give Metallica credit for attempting to try something different.
Yeah. And it worked. It's not one of their best albums, but it's still a decent album. Not. Blackout from Dropkick Murphys came out. The War on Errorism from NoFX. Elephant from Black Eyed Peas. Heavier Things from John Mayer. The Reason from Hoobastank. Illuminate from David Crowder was an awesome album. Before Everything and After by MXPX, which is one of my favorite albums. But Adoration by Newsboys. Indestructible by Rancid. There's just some really huge albums that came out there. A lot of those you probably never listened to.
No, about half of them. Trying to think, 2003. That was albums that came out that I liked. Feel Euphoria by Spock's Beard came out that year.
Yeah.
No, that might be it, actually.
Dangerously in Love from Beyonce came out that year. It was a huge album.
Oh, is it Truth Be Told by Blues Traveler came out that year? That's a decent album.
I think that did also. Home by Dixie Chicks, if you're a country fan, came out that year.
2003, The Eyes of Alice Cooper. It was kind of a return to old school Alice Cooper in a sense.
Let Go from Avril Lavigne came out.
Okay.
In the Zone by Britney Spears, which I didn't like the album, but I mean,
I don't like any Britney. I don't like that kind of music. It's not for me.
A Rush of Blood to the Head from Coldplay, which is, I mean, I'm not a huge Coldplay fan, but that's a pretty.
Yeah, I want to like Coldplay, but they're too monotone for my taste.
Yeah. Singles from that year: The Anthem from Good Charlotte, Are you gonna be my girl from Jet, Bring Me a Life from Evanescence, Business from Eminem, Crazy in Love from Beyonce, Feeling This by Blink-182, Fighter from Christina Aguilera, which is a huge hit that year, Forever and Always from Shania Twain, for you country fans out there. Girls and Boys from Good Charlotte, Here Without You from Three Doors Down, which the album came out the year before. I think the album came out the year before. Hold On from Good Charlotte, Hey Ya from Outkast, In the Club by 50 Cent, It's My Life by No Doubt, which is a really good song.
Yes, it is.
Lifestyles of Rich and Famous from Good Charlotte.
Hail to the Thief by Radiohead.
Yeah, so that came out that year.
Yeah. I was sure Radiohead put out an album that year, and that was a decent album.
It was, actually. I forgot all about that one. My Immortal from Evanescence. Over My Head, Sum 41, which is like their only decent song. I'm not a big Sum 41 fan.
Yeah, they were a little too... I mean, they were just like Blank, and then a little more aggressive. Yeah, more aggressive, but not as good.
Rock Your Body by Justin Timberlake, which is a great song. 7 Nation Army, obviously.
Yeah.
Sing for the Moment by Eminem. Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park. Saint Anger by Metallica. Stacy's Mom from Fountains of Wayne, which is like the only song they ever did that was ever popular.
Yeah. But that was a good song.
It was, actually. And you know what? Last week, I think it was last week or the week before, someone at work was singing that song.
Really?
I was like, what the I forgot that damn thing even existed.
Yeah. Especially the people we work with. They were they even alive then?
No. Well, some of them were.
Some of them were.
Superman by Eminem was a good song. Times Like These from Foo Fighters. The Way You Move by Outkast. Where's the Love by Black Eyed Peas. Wicked was released on Broadway that year. School of Rock was released in theaters, which...
That's a good movie.
It's a good movie for what it is. Deaths that year. Morris Gibb. Doris Fisher died that year. Ty Longley, who's the guitarist for Great White, which I'll get to, because I'll talk about that. Howie Epstein died that year, who was the bassist for Tom Petty. Yep. If you didn't know that. Noel Redding died that year, who's the bassist for Jimi Hendrix, who's as far as
underrated,
a
basis,
very underrated basis for what he did in the era he played in. June Carter died that year. Barry White died that year. Benny Carter. Eric Braun, who's the guitarist for Iron Butterfly. Bob Hope died that year. Johnny Cash. Robert Palmer died. Soulja Slim, who's a rapper, died that year. Inducted in the Hall of Fame was AC/DC, The Clash, Elvis Costello, The Police, and the Righteous Brothers. So outside of events, there was still a lot of shit that happened in 2003.
Yeah. I can't argue with that.
Now, as far as what happened, so so in early 2003 was when Pete Townsend was arrested for
allegedly trying to solicit sex from a minor.
Well, it was for child pornography,
right?
But
I think they caught him trying to solicit too.
Was it?
I think so. Don't quote me on that. I obviously spreading rumors if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty.
I remember the child pornography thing, but
that's
I don't
how
remember.
they caught him.
Gotcha.
So,
Johnny Cash releases the music video for "Hurt," which is a fantastic fucking album. And I never. "Hurt" was like one song by Nine Inch Nails that was okay.
Okay, yeah.
And
Johnny Cash's version is
a million times better. There's the rare occasion where that's
because
happens.
there's a certain there's more truth to it. Where Trent Reznor just was writing a song, doing his thing. When Johnny Cash sang it, it was personal. It felt real.
And the video made it even
more so.
More so.
Yeah. Especially and then he died right after that.
Yeah.
So
well, he didn't die right after that. He died later that year, but
still,
June,
that video
June died not too long after that.
That video was still fairly. I mean, it was getting regular play until he died. Even
it was.
So
and then beginning part of 2003, London detectives and an investigation from the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, which I've never even fucking heard of that before, conducted raids in the UK and the Netherlands and recovered 500 original Beatles studio tapes that were recorded during the Let It Be sessions that had, and this was big news when it happened too, because there had been for quite a few years prior to 2003, there were a lot of leaked Beatles albums that hit the black market that were released. I remember, I'm not going to admit to anything, but I know someone that downloaded some of those albums from a thing called Napster.
I'm sure in the periphery that there was a couple people we knew who were probably
there was a lot
messing around with that kind of thing.
So those tapes, there were a lot of bootlegs that came from that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of big to find that and kind of end.
Is that where the Let It Be Naked album came from?
It might have been.
Because I know that I never listened to that, and I've always been curious because I thought it was just like demos and stuff of the stuff that was on there. That ended up being on Let It Be. It
makes sense that it's probably from those bootlegs. I would assume they would.
It would make sense.
February 3rd of 2003, police respond to a 911 phone call from one of Phil Spector's neighbors and discovered the body of actress Lena Clarkston. I'm sorry, Lena Clarkson. Obviously dead at Phil Spector's home. So that was kind of big.
He was convicted of that, wasn't he?
I believe so. That same day, the Living with Michael Jackson, the documentary was released on TV by Martin Bashir.
I didn't know this. Just a little side note. I've always maintained that I felt that Michael Jackson was not guilty of the crimes that people said he was. I just always assumed that he was just kind of stuck in that child mentality and that it was easier to associate with children. But I did not know that they actually did find child pornography in his house.
Really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I just found that out. It was in an article, and it wasn't even mentioned as like a gotcha type of thing. It was just kind of mentioned as part of the text, and that kind of disappointed me a little bit. Because like I said, I was kind of felt that he was innocent of... I mean, he still may have been innocent of actually touching children inappropriately, but
Yeah.
it adds a new dynamic to that I just don't.
It kind of casts a shadow over the whole.
Yeah, over my assumption of his innocence.
Yeah.
You know,
I never kind of assumed that he was innocent, but I don't know. It
was just weird. It's just the way the situation was weird, and he wasn't. I mean, listen to his voice. They say that childhood traumas and things like that will kind of stunt people's voices.
Yeah,
and he had still that young voice, that high pitched voice of his youth. That I don't know. I believe that it was more innocent than it appeared, even though it was very weird.
Yeah.
And then you hear that there was
child pornography involved.
Yeah. Then you start to wonder. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a side note there.
Oh no,
it's music related.
That's fine. It's music related. By the way, we're quickly approaching our longest episode ever.
Oh,
we're
really?
at an hour and 20 minutes roughly right now.
Oh wow! I think we're hour and 37 is our longest episode.
I don't know if we'll make it that far, but
no, we probably won't.
So also in early 2003, there was the station nightclub fire, Great White was performing at a place in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And a fireworks display goes off, and it catches part of the bar on fire, or the nightclub on fire, and it quickly spreads across the place. Mm-hmm. There was 100 people killed, including Ty Longley, which was Great White's guitar player,
right,
and 160 people injured in the fire.
It was big. Yeah, I mean, I think I even remember them talking about it. It
was huge national news at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Robert Trujillo joins Metallica.
Yep.
Which was 3-4 days after that nightclub fire.
He as the bassist, because Jason Newsted had left.
What did he end up doing after he left? Did he?
He had his own band, and he played with Ozzy, he took over for Robert Trujillo and Ozzy, and Robert Trujillo ended up getting hired to Metallica.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I mean, Jason Newsted only played with Ozzy for like one tour, but
okay.
It was that tour after what's his name left to go join Metallica. I thought it was ironic. But he had his own band too.
Oh, okay.
If you watch, if you ever seen Some Kind of Monster?
Yeah.
Okay. They taught the.
Do they talk about it? I don't remember that.
They James and Lars end up going. I think all three of them end up going to see Jason Newsted and his band perform.
Okay.
And yeah, my assumption, my interpretation of their reactions, Lars was jealous.
Oh, really?
And James seemed upset. Not upset, but maybe jealous too, but in a different way, because he just saw that he saw him happy for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Because he even says he looked happy up there, and he didn't look happy before, And of course, with Lars, he was just probably jealous because he's like, well, he's doing something good, and I want to do something good.
I guess I could see that.
Because Lars is a dick. Lars Ulrich is a dick.
He is.
I don't like him. I don't even think he's that great of a drummer, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, he's a good drummer.
He's a good drummer, but he's not a great drummer.
The way they handled the whole Napster thing, I think, PR-wise, kind of backfired on the band some. Because they came off as just greedy musicians, basically.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, I understand their argument.
I do, too. I absolutely do, too.
And I understood a lot of the points
but
they
they're
made.
Not the ones that are suffering from it.
No, they're not. And they painted themselves as the
victims.
The victims.
The victims were the bands that are really struggling to try and make a name.
Yes.
Metallica is never going to lose any fucking money.
Absolutely
the Beatles are never going to lose any fucking money.
No.
No. So you sell 5 million copies instead of 7 million copies. Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
People are still buying your fucking records.
And they're still showing up at your shows.
Exactly.
Which is where they make all their money now.
My biggest problem with Lars is even more from watching that documentary. He's just an arrogant prick.
Yeah.
He really is. He's just arrogant, and I don't like that. The other guys, James is, I don't know. I get it. He's kind of an emo guy. It's all about his internal feelings and shit. But hey, whatever works.
Yeah. It's
disappointing for a band like Metallica to have that have the curtains opened up to see that, but it wouldn't have changed my mind about him. It didn't. I saw something I didn't like, but it didn't really change my mind about James Hetfield. But Lars Ulrich, he's just a fucking asshole.
He's a prick. At least that's the way he comes off.
He comes off as an asshole. Yeah.
So March 10th was kind of a big day in 2003.
Okay.
On kind of an international kind of stage. So it was the day that Johnny Cash was admitted to Baptist Hospital in Nashville for pneumonia.
Okay.
And that night in London, the Dixie Chicks performed. And one of their lead singers, Natalie Maines, I think is her name, tells the audience, just so you know, we're ashamed of the President of the United States is from Texas. Mm-hmm. And it was like this huge backlash, international backlash.
Against the Dixie Chicks?
Yes.
I remember it being here, but even internationally?
Internationally, it was huge.
Why?
Because you're in the midst of
we're in the new millennium and everyone's fucking sensitive and
no, because that was before all that bullshit. But
that was still going on then. When
did the war in Iraq was like in the early stages?
It started in late March.
Yeah,
2003. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was in its infancy, and at that time, the United States had international support, sort of.
Well, we had international sympathy. Yes. I wouldn't necessarily say we had support.
So, I mean, even though I think internationally there was a lot of people that kind of understood where they were coming from, they didn't...
That was my phone.
No, they didn't understand or they didn't agree with the way or the platform in which they were using to say that. And it kind of ruined their career for a good number of years.
That's sad.
And their career probably never regained what it once was.
No, probably not. But that's sad, though, that one little statement.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that statement. You don't have to be... You can be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
You can be ashamed of that. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. And you can state that. In your venue, in your concert, say whatever the fuck you want. We say whatever we want here. This is our show. And if someone tells me I can't do that, I'm going to say, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway.
You can't do that.
Why?
You didn't say fuck you.
I thought you were... I thought you were being... I thought you were talking about saying fuck you. I'm like, what? Why not? I just did. Fuck you. But, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And I was never a Dixie Chicks fan.
No,
I don't
me
want
neither.
to see,
but
I don't want to see something trivial like that. Just a comment. And I thought the same thing at the time. You know, that, look.
I was never proud of George Bush. There's nothing.
Even if you are. Okay, so how is this affecting your life? How are three musicians from Texas performing halfway around the world,
making one statement,
one sentence affecting your life?
Well, that was the beginning. That's what I was talking about. That was when the country was starting to polarize.
No, because it was 2.5 years after September 11th.
But it was on the cusp of the Iraq War, and it may have been popular amongst most, but it was not.
It was
still
in the heyday of the oh my God, there was flags flying everywhere, the whole patriotic movement, all that garbage.
It hasn't ended. It's just been usurped by
co-opted
by white nationalists and white supremacists.
Yeah. But so after that, a couple weeks after that, Celine Dion starts her A New Day, which is her show in Vegas.
Okay.
Which would run for over 700 shows.
Wow.
She would end up doing in Vegas. So it's kind of big.
Yeah.
April 1st, I didn't realize this. So April 1st of 2003, dozens of fans walk out of a Pearl Jam concert when lead singer Eddie Vedder, the guy's outspoken, he says all sorts of stuff, but he doesn't say anything really crazy. But apparently he made comments opposing the Iraq War, and insulting remarks about U.S. President George Bush.
Mm-hmm. The fans walked out.
Yeah, fans walked out. He was booed. He ended up having to walk back his statements later. And
which was a business decision.
Oh, yeah. And apparently after a bunch of people leave and a bunch of people start booing, he made this statement about, just to clarify, we support the troops.
Don't get me started on that.
So that's something else that's going on in 2003 is this kind of transition politically
from normal politics to what we're dealing with now.
Yes, kind of the infancy, not only the infancy of the Iraq War and all that, but you're getting the infancy of, like you pointed out, this
the hypersensitive polarization of the two sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on April 28th, which is, I think, maybe one of the most pivotal moments of the past 15 years musically. April 28th, Apple opens the iTunes Music Store. Which, before that, Napster had been shut down.
Right.
And actually, Napster actually reopened later in 2003 as a music service. And Napster was kind of
as an iTunes type of thing.
No, it was more like it was Spotify basically. You could buy music. So when the legal part of Napster reopened, it was you could buy a song for 99 cents, or you could pay $9.99 and listen to unlimited music a month.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember the buying the songs and stuff.
Yeah. So, like I said, so you have these two entities in 2003 that have kind of shaped the music industry to what it is today. That's when it all started with the Napster pay per month program and the iTunes store. Also, you have Fuse, which it used to be Much Music. So they rebranded and relaunched in the U.S. as Fuse, which for the mid to late 2000s kind of replaced MTV
because they were actually playing music.
Because they were actually playing music videos. And I think they still exist today.
They do. I don't think they're part of my cable package, so I don't really notice. And I used to. When we were younger, when we get you had cable, you always knew exactly what channels your music stations were.
Yeah.
VH1, MTV, and Fuse. And now I couldn't tell you.
No.
There's no reason there isn't any music video you can't find on YouTube.
The last time I saw Fuse, though, they were doing, it wasn't called Unplugged, but there was like an Unplugged kind of series that they had.
Yeah.
Which I always thought Unplugged was probably one of the best things that MTV ever did.
I always enjoyed it. The performances were always kind of top notch.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, so Fuse launches. Alice Cooper begins production of his 26th album,
which is Eyes of Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
It came out that year too. I'm pretty sure
it was later in the year, though. Wasn't it?
Was very late in the year. Yeah.
Beyonce releases her #1 debut solo album, "Dangerously in Love," which would earn her 5 Grammys in a single night, and also spawned 2 #1 singles in the U.S. and sold over 11 million copies to date. Which is 11 million copies in the post-Napster music industry is a really huge number if you think about it. Let's see. Lollapalooza returned after a 6-year absence.
Oh, I didn't know they took time off.
Yeah,
I thought
they did.
They went every year.
No, there was 6 years where they didn't have it. Madonna sparks up media controversy when she kisses Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera during the VMAs in 2003. Yeah. September 12th, Johnny Cash died. David Bowie, a couple days later, released Reality, which was his first album in almost a decade. I think it was
Made in England came out before that.
Yeah, it was
because that came out in '94.
Yeah, it was in '94, '95. So yeah, it was almost a decade. You have a really loud phone, you know that, Ian?
Yeah, well, I usually keep all the sounds off of it, but I turned it on so that I could set my alarm this morning, which I forgot to do.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or this afternoon, I should say.
So, yeah, October 29th, the legal version of Napster relaunches as a pay service.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm seeing your argument. There isn't anything you said that doesn't fit what you had proposed 2003 to be. So.
Yeah. The November 14th, the legal incarnation, if you want to call it that, of Pink Floyd reunites to perform at Steve O'Rourke's funeral, which is their former manager. Britney Spears releases In the Zone on November 18th. Breaks her own record as the first. Breaks her own record as the first female artist to have 3 albums at #1 to become. I said that wrong. As the first female artist to have 3 albums in #1 to become the first female artist. That doesn't make any sense. First female artist to have 4. Okay, so she broke a record. She was 3 albums at #1, so she became the first artist to have 4. Female artist, at least. I'm reading this off of the great website that is Wikipedia.
Of course.
The definitive source for everything. Apparently someone needs to go in there and edit that, because that sentence didn't make a whole lot of sense the first time I read it. Michael Jackson releases the compilation album number ones, which did okay. I think the whole child molestation kind of case hurt sales of that.
So you said
because he was actually, so he released it. The album number ones was released on November 18th, and then November 20th he was arrested again on child molestation charges.
Okay. Real quick, just a side note, you mentioned Bowie hadn't released an album,
studio album.
Yeah, he did.
What did he release prior to that?
He released Earthling in '97.
That was almost a decade. I mean,
'97. He released Hours in '99, and he released Heathen in 2002.
Okay, I'm going off of Wikipedia here, Ian. I'm reading what Wikipedia has. Obviously, it's
okay. I mean, hey.
Okay, so you proved it wrong.
I was just pointing it out. It was weird because I thought he's always been consistently prolific up until he died, and even that they just released remixes of his stuff.
Yeah. And something that kind of meant something to me, I don't know, for other people out there, if you're not a ska fan, you don't know who they are, but November of 2003, Fire Iron Frenzy played its last show. Now, it did eventually reform in 2013, I think.
Okay.
But that was kind of big.
I don't know if I'm familiar with their stuff. I've heard you mention them before.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Mick Jagger is knighted in December, and then Ozzy was rushed to the ER. That was when he had his he was on the ATV.
Oh yeah,
ATV
on the show,
accident.
and yeah, the Osbournes were going on.
When did was it? It was
2002 was when I think it started. It went through 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah.
I thought it was after that.
No. And then I'm trying to think, when did Back to Earth? I think Back to Earth was 2002.
So I mean, that's kind of all I had for it. So you can look at
Back to Earth.
You can look at other years, and there are other years that probably have maybe bigger musical influences as far as like albums.
Well, just as far as the way music is made and produced, probably. Like I said, I can't really argue with your points. There's nothing you said that was I felt wrong.
And that's kind of why I was going back and forth between 2003 and 91, because 91 musically had such a long-lasting impact.
Right.
You know, as far as like being influential, I mean, the albums that were released in 91, the music that was going on at the time is something that's lasted, 20 whatever years.
Since 91?
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years, yeah.
But like, what happened as far as like music industry, huge deaths and things like that. There were just so many large moments in 2003 that kind of pushed me over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to look back and go back and look at different things and look at different.
Yeah, the only argument I'd have against you saying 2003 being the biggest thing is based just solely on releases. They had good releases, but like you said, can't argue with 71. You can't argue with 91.
No, but the other thing is, I can look at, if you look back at like big selling albums or kind of iconic albums, 2003 was kind of the last year where there was multiple iconic albums released.
Yeah. Well, see, when you say iconic, though, you're speaking from a point of opinion.
Yes, I mean, but
so I mean,
I don't know. If you look at 91, you can look at who can argue against 10 being an iconic album?
No,
or never mind being an iconic album.
Well, people who don't like rock music.
Okay,
and that's yes, I agree with you.
That's why we said at the beginning that we're kind of looking at this through a rock, or rock-ish pop kind of way,
right?
Because that's kind of the music we a lot. I mean, I don't know. We were raised on, that our parents listened to. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, like I said, I can't argue with you there. At least as far as the
influence that the year had.
Well, just how it affected. It changed everything as far as the music industry goes.
Yeah. It showed the coming future. It was the death of the past. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Right. Okay. I was distracted because I was trying to figure out when. I think 2003 was the last season of the Osbournes.
What year was?
2003.
Oh, okay.
Because it started in 2001. So, because I think that was the same year that Sharon was also diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Was it pancreatic?
Oh no, because she wouldn't have made it back then.
No,
I mean, that was bad back then. It was still.
It's actually breast cancer or something like that.
No, it was ovarian cancer.
Ovarian cancer.
Yeah, I think it was ovarian.
Gotcha.
So.
We have some people joining us for the last several moments.
Last 10 minutes or whatever, if we even have more 10 more minutes.
Hey, Ian, we broke our record. We're past an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow. So you jumped in at an hour and 40 minutes. I don't know who you are. I can't see who it is.
Bring it up on your...
my phone. I'm having trouble with my internet.
Really?
Yeah, I tried logging into your Wi-Fi too, and something's wrong. So my phone.
Operator error.
Oh, very well could be.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, old people and technology don't mix.
Yeah.
Ian.
So how do you manage?
Because I'm not old like you.
We're like 13 months apart.
You're in your 40s and I'm in my 30s. What can I say?
I'm going to fucking stab you one day. I'm going to blame it on old age. How do you like that? I'm old. I'm senile. I'm going to stab you in your fucking eye.
Oh, you're killing me.
I'm hoping to eventually here.
Then you won't have a podcast anymore.
Hey, you know what? If
that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Yeah,
right?
I guess. I
don't know. Anything else you want to add there, Ian?
Not really. I mean, we kind of covered a lot of stuff. I mean, we must have in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. I talked a lot. This is probably the first episode I talked that much in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we could get into a lot of like detail stuff about like, musical changes or style changes that occurred kind of over the years. When, like I said, with 71 kind of the birth of progressive rock, and there were 67 even. And that lasted to like 74, 73, 74, and it was at its peak in 72.
Yeah.
But then there were still bands that came out after that were still kind of applying that style. Kansas was one.
Yeah.
And they were huge from 75 to like 78.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was the 3 years of Kansas.
Yeah.
And 2 good albums came out of that.
Yeah, which actually I just bought Leftoverture on vinyl.
Did you?
Yeah.
And Point of No Return. I actually think Point of No Return is
probably a better album.
Yeah.
I haven't found that anywhere used yet.
Well, they've remastered it, so I'm going to end up buying a repressing of it so you can have my used copy when that happens.
Sweet.
Yeah. You like getting free shit.
I like getting free shit.
Yeah. I was going to give you a bunch of those Alice's I got, but I gave them to Carrie instead.
That's cool.
You wouldn't have liked, Lacing whiskey isn't like.
Yeah, I got my favorite ones at least.
Yeah. So
actually, I do want to get. They haven't released $1 Billion Babies yet, have they?
Yeah, they did. That was one of the first ones they did, and it's
really
$112 on Amazon.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the
you
ones
can find it used if you want. If you find it used, it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, I guess I'll try to find a used copy. There you go, knocking all my shit over there again.
I'm trying. I don't like basketball, but anyway. So yeah, no. To answer your question, I can't really think of anything else. I mean, there's the '80s with the new wave kind of sound that
Devo and all that.
Devo and Culture Club even and
yeah.
Pseudo Echo you mentioned in '87. They were that was kind of the first wave of electronic music.
Yeah.
Pseudo Echo only has one good song, and it's not Funky Town, but okay.
That's the one popular one.
That's their popular one. No, His Eyes is the best song that
I don't think I know that one.
If you've watched Friday the 13th Part 5, you do know it.
Okay,
because
I've seen that.
Remember the blonde chick when she's
times.
doing her little like dance?
Okay,
she's doing it to that song.
Oh, okay, I got you. So I guess I had heard it then.
Yeah, so it was really good, but yeah, that's about it. I can't think of anything else.
I don't know. This is episode 50, so I kind of want to thank everyone for supporting us for the last 50 episodes or 49 episodes, and
yeah, it's been fun.
It's been
hopefully there'll be another 50 after it.
It's been interesting. Was it?
Well, we're just shy of 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January.
22 months we've been doing this.
Yeah,
so
it'll be 2 years in January.
It's crazy.
I know. We're gonna have to do an anniversary, something special for our anniversary episode. I think.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
Yeah, something.
I don't know. That's about it, though.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find my notes here. So if you feel free to contact us, on Facebook or
Twitter
or any of that, or
email us
contact@lifeingeneralpodcast.com. And if you've got any
I posted, you can actually link directly to my personal Facebook page, which is probably not a good idea, but
yeah, sure, why not?
Fuck it, go there. Tell me what you think. I don't care.
Yeah, so if you got any info or you feel that we missed a year, let us know.
Yeah. Or if you disagree with the years that we chose, that you chose, I just agreed with.
How can anyone disagree with me?
I do it all the fucking time. Like 90% of the fucking time you open your mouth, I'm disagreeing with you. All right, you're right. It's not that much. It's 96.
Oh, fuck off.
96% of the time.
Now you sound like my wife.
No, she's probably 99.
Nah, whatever. But so check us out on our website, lifeingeneralpodcast.com. It's got all of our previous episodes on there.
You'll be able to watch this on Facebook if you want.
Yeah.
Watch us waving our hands and talking all funky.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
What do you mean talking funky?
I don't know. I think I sound weird.
Really?
Yeah.
It's because you want to go to Funky Town.
No. I don't think I'd be welcome in Funky Town.
Probably
I'm not a very funky kind of guy.
No, you're not. That's about it.
Yep.
Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm proud about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.